Hey guys, and welcome to this edition of the Shrewsbury Biscuit podcast. Now I've got to explain, we are very lucky enough to have a few very well-known sort of celebrities living around our area, and one of them is a legend, and he is the very famous John Wagner, who created Judge Dredd, amongst other great things. And he sat here with me today. Thank you for sitting with me, John.
My pleasure.
Yeah, I think we met each other a while back, just before we were doing the comic Salopia. Like the build up, we did that awful interview that we did. Well, it was the interview was fantastic, but the air conditioning was left on, and the audio quality was terrible. I felt so embarrassed having to release that. But now we get the chance to have a proper sit down and a chat. So thank you for coming on the Biscuit. It's really good. Now you are famous for creating one of the most iconic characters in comic books, Judge Dredd. And I was having a good read of your Wikipedia a few days ago, obviously to research for this. But, I mean, your Wikipedia, by the way, is very extensive.
It goes on a bit,
yeah. It's brilliant, though. You know,
it's not entirely accurate, but it's pretty much there.
Who writes that, then? Because I know people just add to it.
I've got no idea. I have a feeling that the late Stuart Perkins did a lot of it.
Yeah?
Because it's very complimentary about me, and he was.
Yeah. Well, I found it really fascinating because you're attached to, obviously Dredd was one of those things. I mean, I was reading about the beginnings of Dredd, and it seemed quite awkward for you at the beginning because you created this character that you had to kind of step away from what I read on Wikipedia, if that's correct.
Yeah, that's right. It was during the creation of 2000 AD, and I was working with Pat Mills, who was the main creator on it, and in fact, it's his comic. And the idea was that we would be given 2000 AD to produce ourselves and sell as a package to IPC. But a few days before publication, the managing director called Pat in and said, "No, I'm sorry, we're going to do it in-house." So I said, to hell with that, I'm not working on this anymore. So I left until poverty drove me back.
And I bet you're glad you did.
Yes, it's worked out all right.
Yeah, when you guys were putting Dredd together, was it one of those things that you knew you had a hit, or is that the way you feel about everything you kind of create? Does that make sense?
Well, I'd been editing a comic called Valiant before that, and one of the characters I introduced was a tough New York cop. And we used to do this popularity poll in the comic. When you send in a letter, you would vote for your 3 favourite stories.
Oh yeah.
And once this cop story went in, it doubled the previous most popular stories votes, and it stayed like that all through my run. And I knew that a cop story, a tough cop story, an extreme cop story was going to work very well. I didn't know it would be such a hit, and I didn't imagine that it would never leave the comic. I mean, my idea was it would probably run for maybe 16 episodes, have a break, come back. If it was popular, it might come back for another 16, but that would be it.
Yeah.
Well, it's run for over 40 years, so
it's done really well.
We did something right.
I think you hit the right time for it all. Like there was all those cop dramas on TV, that kind of stuff, and you kind of did things that TV couldn't do with Dredd, I suppose. I mean, I remember looking at 2000 AD when I was a kid. My dad used to have some lying on the coffee table, and I remember about 7 or 8. I looked, and it scared me. Lots of skulls and blood and stuff, but that's what it's aimed for. It's aimed for.
Yeah, well, 2000 AD was supposed to break the mold. It was a follow-on from the other comic Pat did that got removed from the shelves called Action. Yeah, because it was too extreme. But we were fed up with the sort of milksop stuff kids had been fed. And like when we did a war comic, we wanted to actually see people killed, because I mean that's the reality of war. Whereas the comics that IPC were doing, you had guys that would go into a raging fury and bend tank barrels with their teeth, and it was just so unreal.
Yeah,
and reality was quite important. And
initially, what was the reaction to that? Kind of on a kind of big scale, did people accept it straight away? Was there a bit of pushback?
Oh, there was quite a lot of pushback. Especially when we were doing Battle Picture Weekly. It was Pat Mills and I did it for the girls' comic department.
Yeah,
And of course, all the boys' comic department were up in arms about what are they doing a boys' comic for? But I mean, it was so popular, and it really was the beginning of a big change in how comics, the content of comics.
Yeah, and it did take off. I mean, it's now got 2 movies made out of it. The TV series that's apparently coming up. I mean, we hear stories and stuff, but you never know what's coming.
Well, they're still working on it. I think eventually it'll come out. But I'm glad they're waiting until they get what's right. You know, to bring out a bad series would be a big mistake.
Yeah, and I think we can sit here and we can slag off it was 94 Judge Dredd movie with Stallone, but it was at that time when everything was all very comic booky and kind of, Stallone was the shiz, wasn't he? So
yeah, it was a pity that they didn't stick to the character, and I mean, in terms of production quality, it was excellent. The recreation of the city was amazing, really good. Yeah. The uniforms, some of the characters as well. But they attached it to this really cliched plot that had nothing to do with Judge Dredd, and that was a shame of it. And in a way, because of that movie's unpopularity, it sort of spoiled things for the second movie when it came out, because everyone thought, oh, Dredd, we don't want to see that again. Yeah. And it was a totally different movie. It was... That
Carl Urban film is unbelievable. I love it. I love that so much. That bit where he's, I am the law.
Carl got him really well. It was. I went down to South Africa to watch some of the filming, and you could see Carl before every scene sort of getting his chin in place, right, moulding his face to be Dredd, and he did a really good job.
I've had a new appreciation for him recently with The Boys on Amazon, because that is. Oh my God, that makes me feel emotional watching that, because they're like very much like what 2000 AD did when it came out. This TV series is breaking the mold. It's kind of like, no, we're not going to do Superman as everybody wants it to be, blah blah blah. But yeah, just making these movies. What does that do to you as one of the part creators of Dredd when it creates like a global success like that? Does it affect your work ethic? Does it make it harder for you because the pressure's on?
Oh no, all told, it was a pretty good thing.
Yeah, I imagine so.
It doesn't do my rep any harm.
Yeah.
It helped me buy my house. And I mean, it just was a pity it wasn't a better movie. But a lot of people love it. And it's actually, I'm told, with DVD sales and everything, it's actually broken even now.
Well, fantastic. Yeah. That's good. And you're right, it is kind of one of... I mean, that's how films tend to go sometimes. Is like they won't do very well in the cinemas, but they become like cult classics. Like the whole Kevin Smith thing, the Clerks and things like that. Don't do well in the cinemas, but it creates a huge following. And a lot of people that I speak to about that the second Dredd movie is adored by people. People love it. So,
yeah. Well, it was a big hit with the real Dredd aficionados.
Yeah.
It was Dredd.
Yeah. Yeah, some of the imagery from that, especially when she's falling at the end and she's got the slow-mo in her and she's taking forever to fall down. Brilliant. So what is it like for someone like you that's comic book royalty going to something like a Comic-Con? There's lots of people surrounding you and, wanting to get your signature. What's that like for you? Is it good ego boost? Is it hard?
Well, it doesn't hurt. It's a lot of the fans have become friends. So it's always nice. It's like a meeting of old friends now, because they generally come and see me, say hello, spend some money. So I quite enjoy it. I like meeting the fans. I think 2000 AD fans are generally a very intelligent, likable bunch. Comic fans in general. I mean, if you're a comic fan, you're not out stabbing somebody after a club night. And comic fans are generally pretty decent people and pretty intelligent as well.
Until they get on Facebook and then they start with the comments.
Well, there are a few.
Yeah, there's been a lot of talk about documentaries and things that have been released lately about celebrities that get bullied online and things, because And I think the ultimate advice is just don't go into those comment section. Do you ever do that? Do you ever like wonder what people are talking about you on Facebook?
I see a lot of comments. Yeah. What I don't try not to do is get involved in pointless discussions. Like I used to do a lot on Brexit. But what's the point? You never convince somebody that doesn't agree with you in the first place. So, you just end up wasting your breath and getting in long, pointless arguments.
I was talking about this on the other show that I do, and obviously I've got to be careful with my wording. I was just turning it to an unwanted social media assault. I can't use the word on it, but it's like one of those things that people just force. It's like, here goes Brexit. It's kind of just there. It's forced upon you. Yeah. And then I complained about it. Then I found myself doing it myself, kind of just like, oh, look at this, everyone, look at this. It's one of those things at the moment. Just everybody's talking about, and the conversations do get vile.
Yeah,
it's quite bad. It doesn't matter which side you're on, but yeah, Facebook has become a different place, I think, because of all that.
Yeah, well.
Yeah. History of Violence. I didn't. Do you know what? I got to hold my hands up. I watched that film a few years ago, and I had no idea it was like a comic book franchise. No, never mind something that.
Neither did David Cronenberg until very near the end of filming. He didn't know it came from a graphic novel.
And is that the idea? Is that like quite liberating for you guys that make comic books?
Well, the thing is, if you sell the rights to a property to Hollywood, generally they don't want to hear from you again.
Okay.
So I didn't even know they were filming it.
Wow.
I didn't go and see the filming, and sort of take the money and run. It was Cronenberg, though, so I had confidence that it would be a pretty good film.
It was a brilliant film. It was really well filmed, and it it kicks like a 12 gauge.
Yeah.
Bam! Straight, here you go. This is what's going to happen in this film. Wow. I really enjoyed that. But yeah, we were talking a bit, the comic slobberknocker thing I call, how sometimes it's great to do comic books that aren't superheroes, like Dredd, like History of Violence, because you want people to realise that, comic books aren't just...
No, they cover any subject you like. Yeah. There's such a wide range of comics.
Yeah. And, like you and Charlie have kind of done that with Walking Dead and Dredd, I suppose. And, that's good. That's a good thing. I get, people spending more money on comic books they wouldn't normally spend money on. So... You saying Dredd helped you buy this beautiful house, and it's on the outskirts of Shrewsbury. I was reading about you, and you started off in America, right? That's where you're from?
Yeah. I was born there and came over here at 12.
Yeah.
A sort of a war marriage that broke up.
Yeah.
And I've been here ever since.
Yeah. You prefer it here, though? It's beautiful here.
Yeah, well, I consider myself to be Scottish.
Yes.
My mother was Scottish, so...
Yeah.
But I've lived in Shropshire for longer than I've lived any place else. We've been here over 20 years now.
Yeah.
And 11 years in this place. So I'll be happy to be carried out in a box.
Brilliant. I mean, I was driving up here, and it was one of the most delightful drives I've had. I mean, I came here, I got here way too early. I was like, I'll be here at 11 or 10:30, I think I said, and I made time for traffic. There was no traffic. I thought I'd get lost. I didn't get lost, so I was kind of rocked up here early, which is very unprofessional, so I do apologise for that.
Don't worry. I used to live in Suffolk, which I thought was incredibly rural.
Yeah.
But Shropshire, that is rural.
Yeah. I mean, some of the roads I was coming up here were quite hairy. They're quite narrow. Like, if someone comes hurtling around the corner now, what am I going to do?
Yeah. And they take them at 60 usually.
Do you get to go out into Shrewsbury much? Do you like going, popping there to do some shopping or whatever?
Well, we go in about once a week, otherwise I get cabin fever.
Yeah.
So we usually go in for a meal on a Friday or Saturday, and occasionally I'll go in shopping.
Yeah.
To my outfitters, Marks and Spencer.
I do like a wander around. And now my little boy started at school, I find myself like, let's just go for a walk into town. No reason to go into town, just wander into town. And just, I've become a bit of a mall rat now. I'm kind of just standing around like, want to be on the podcast?
But Shrewsbury's a very pleasant town. I really like it,
It's beautiful. And you know what? You guys, like you and Robbie Morrison and Charlie and, all these amazing creators and, people like amazing artists. You go on Instagram and you type in artist Shrewsbury and it's surrounded by absolute raw talent around us. So
there's quite a few,
yeah, there is. Is it a coincidence that you guys have all kind of ended up here, or is it like?
Yeah, I think it is pretty much. I think Robbie might have moved here knowing that he had friends here. Maybe thinking, well, I'll stay if I like it. But the rest of us, we just occurred.
It must be something in the water. Yeah, bring people here.
Well, I came here because my partner, Jenny, is a director of Redan Publishing. They moved to Shrewsbury because their boss is from Shrewsbury.
Oh, fantastic.
And so they moved, and as I'm a freelance, I can go anywhere. I just came with her.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And what's the process? Do you do a lot of your work here and send it over, or do you have to go somewhere to actually do your work?
No, I try never to leave the house, except on Friday or Saturday when I'm going for a meal. I do everything by computer. I don't like using the phone.
Yeah.
So email's been such a boon to me. I don't even have to speak to people
You're
anymore.
a whippet on email, I've got to say. I'm typing out a message and he's replying to it's quite funny. So you send away the scripts, and where do you send it to? It
depends what I'm doing. Like if it's 2000 AD, a Dredd script or a Strontium Dog or whatever, I send it to the editor, who then sends it out to whatever artist he's chosen. And then when the artist has drawn the pages, I get the art back, and then I edit the script to the art, because an artist doesn't always follow your directions.
Yeah.
Like a script is just like a movie script. You do it page by page generally, and you tell the artist what's on every page, how many frames you want, what's happening in each frame, and the dialogue from the characters.
Okay.
And then the artist takes it and he messes it up. No, he doesn't. The artist does his thing on it, and you get it back. And sometimes it's very difficult to make sense of what's been
I imagine,
drawn.
because you're not just a scriptwriter, you're almost a director.
Yeah, pretty much.
You're telling people where they're leaning and how they're looking out of a window and stuff. Yeah.
And the artist is the actors.
Yeah.
The cast.
Yeah.
But generally, I've been lucky enough to work with really, really good imaginative artists, so I don't have much trouble. I mean, occasionally, making a script makes sense, but generally you're getting great artwork back. So,
yeah. And is there a project that you can think of, the first thing that comes to your mind, where it's been just an arduous back and two of just like, you're not getting it right? Is there anything that you can think of?
No, I tend not to. I can't think of a time recently when I've sent the script back to the artist to be redrawn.
You've been lucky.
No. I mean, it's because my artists are good.
Yeah, you must be your writing. There must be a tone to your writing.
Well, generally, I don't overwrite a script.
Yeah.
Like, I don't use 10 words when I can use 1. And sometimes when I'm describing a frame, I'll just say, read the dialogue. And that leaves a lot of room for the artist to do his or her own thing. And
that is quite a difficulty at times. Is like I'm designing a couple of posters now for the Biscuit. I want to get some posters around town, and it's like I need a few, like a phrase to put on the poster, and you're trying to slim things down as much as possible. And it's quite difficult to do that, and it's a skill, an absolute skill. This is a question I thought of that I didn't want it to offend anybody really, but I thought it was quite an interesting question to ask, and that is like, is there a point when something it becomes mainstream and it's there, Dredd, TVs, games, this, that, posters everywhere, is there a point where that does not become special anymore? Like, is there a point where you get used to seeing what you've created everywhere?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, I don't really regard Dredd as special to me. I mean, it's meant a lot to me, but it's just Dredd now.
Yeah,
and I don't write many of them these days. Just the odd one.
The reason I ask is because I got an article written about me in My Shrewsbury by Katie Rink. It was beautiful. I opened it up. I saw the picture. I nearly cried. I was going, oh. And I was thinking, maybe if I do become like, the pod king of Shropshire or something, I don't know, whatever you want to call it. But like, if that ever doesn't become special anymore, do you have to like pinch yourself sometimes? Just be like, dude, you made this. This is what you've put together.
Well, if it's something like my new project, Rok, love getting the comic, looking through it. That was, that's still a wonderful feeling. And I still remember the first thing I ever wrote, seeing it finally in print. That was just amazing.
Yeah, I imagine.
Yeah, and that feeling, it still persists, but it's, you do get used to things.
I can imagine so. It's kind of natural, isn't it? Let's talk about Rok of the Reds. Where did that come from?
It stemmed, it's about 25 years ago. Alan Grant, my frequent writing partner, who's written Batman and Lobo and done a lot of American stuff.
I love Lobo.
We used to do our day's work, and then we'd meet in the evening to do special projects. And this project we had in mind was an old-fashioned anthology comic, British style, 3 pages per story.
Yeah.
And we were looking for a football story, because they all had football stories. Yeah. And so how can we make a football story different? I know, one of us said, let's put an alien in it. First alien footballer. Yeah. And we thought about that, and we could see how that would work. So we wrote the first script, which was, I think, just a 3-page script. It might have been 6. And along the way, we realized that if we went ahead with this comic, it would bankrupt us. So we stuck everything away in the ideas file, and bit by bit, ideas were used and other things, but not, at that time we called it Rom of the Rovers, a play on Roy of the Rovers.
Yeah, I remember that.
Well, about 5 years ago, I was looking for something new to do, and I went to my ideas file and pulled out Rom of the Rovers, and I read it again, and I thought, this is just too good to be sitting in a drawer doing nothing.
Yeah.
And so I'd been talking to Shah Nazir at BHP Publishing in Glasgow. It's a small independent publisher, but quite a good one. And he said, well, you want to do something for us? And why not? I was going to publish it myself, and he said, why not let us publish it? And I thought, that's not a bad idea. Well, it's one thing I don't know much about publishing, and it's not something having done it on the latest one, it's not something I enjoy. I mean, I like to sit and write, and that's it, and edit a bit, but publishing. So anyway, BHP published it, and we've now on to the second series, which is called Rok the God, where he becomes the god of football. No, he's not actually the god of football, but he gets elevated to godhood on his home planet. But that just means...
Is that because of the football?
No,
he's won the World Cup.
Football's an impediment.
I'm looking forward to reading this. I haven't got around to reading it yet, and I did say to you on the Slobberknocker I was going to buy one. Well, I get distracted by one thing and then another. And I did try to get this today, before today, but I couldn't. But I'm really looking forward to reading it. I was interested in how this was received in America. Did you get a lot of American feedback about it?
Well, I sent it to one American publisher, and they said, I don't think there'd be any interest here for it. So we have a few American readers, but not many. But with it being shortlisted for Teenage Comic of the Year.
Fantastic, well done.
2020, that's by the Scottish Book Trust. I mean, that kind of thing helps. And
of course.
Maybe it'll get some leverage in America from that. I'm hoping this Kickstarter we're running will also get more interest up in America. We'll see. Yeah,
talk about the Kickstarter. So you're moving on to Rok the God now. And of course, this looks good. You've given me of the first issue, and it looks great. It's not released yet properly. What's the goal with this then? Talk about the Kickstarter. What you're trying to... Well,
we just want to do it. We love Rok. It's such a pleasurable experience, and the people who have latched onto it really love it. And there was never a thought in my mind that we wouldn't do a second series. So here we are. The idea is we've only published one issue, and we're hoping to go straight to the graphic novel after that. But we don't know. If the Kickstarter succeeds, it'll be straight to the graphic novel, which is a 120-page full-color book.
Yeah.
It concerns Rok's elevation to godhood and the trouble that causes for him with people who think he shouldn't be a god. or his own species.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, back on Earth, it's Radford Reds promotion season, and Rok being their star player now, in the guise of winger Kyle Dixon. They can't really do without him. The club's been taken over by Malcolm Greedy. I'm a Manchester United supporter, so there's certain links to Malcolm Glazer there, who's an asset stripper and wants to sell Kyle Dixon, Rok's alter ego, to Real Madrid.
Oh dear.
Meanwhile, the real Kyle Dixon, who's been miniaturized to the size of a Barbie doll, escapes and goes on the run with another miniaturized character, referee Nigel Bull. So there's this crazy miniature buddy movie going on right through the story,
and I could see it being a movie. It sounds like almost, it's like a lot of comedic, enjoyable moments in that. That sounds really good. And now, look, listeners, I really want to help John, because we're very lucky to have John Wagner, the John Wagner, living in our doorstep. And if we can help him get this work of art on up and running, we'll hold a party in my house if it does well. There you go. Where can people find out about this?
Well, the Kickstarter launches on October the 2nd.
Okay.
It's called Rocktober.
October. I like it.
And you'll find out about it on my Facebook page, Dan Cornwell's Facebook page. It'll be all over the comic side of Facebook. You won't be able to miss it.
Well, we'll share a lot of that as well. Both on both shows that I do, we'll give you as much support as you need.
That's good, yeah. So I hope people can get aboard. We've got quite a lot of good rewards on offer, like there's original art from the great Simon Bisley. There's actually a Rok statuette that's been, only 13 of them will be sculpted, and that's up for offer too. Original scripts from me, Alan Grant, original Batman script from him. There's sketches by Dan Cornwell, plus, of course, the graphic novel.
Yeah,
that's what we want you to have mainly.
And, even if, because I have a lot of listeners that listen to my show that aren't, very comic book savvy, it's not for everybody, but, this is for everybody. If you can help John make this graphic novel, you will be helping other people enjoy his art. And he's a local artist,
or writer.
Right, that's what I mean. He's an artist of words. He kind of paints, like we were just describing. You are a director. You tell people what they're supposed to draw and what your vision is, and you've got a skill that is a very important skill. I don't think many people can do that. People that can do that are very talented, and I feel like we should be backing you on that. So, if anybody could jump onto that Kickstarter from October 2nd, and just the equivalent of buying John a pint, chuck him a couple of quid, buy him a pint,
or a few pints.
Yeah, I did see someone who was doing a Kickstarter a while ago. I think it's pretty local actually. That was like, the way I approach it is just buy me a cup of coffee.
Yeah.
So buy someone a cup of coffee. So $2.50. Like, Chuck, you bought me a coffee. You put it into Kickstarter.
Yeah. But we want to give you something. We want you to read the graphic novel. Yeah. It's one of the things about it is that it's accessible to every age. It's not like Judge Dredd, where you might worry about your youngster reading it. Yeah. It's there's nothing in there that you could object to. So it's for 6 to 60 or 90.
Yeah.
We do have readers like over 70 that love it, and a friend of mine from Shrewsbury couldn't get her lad to read, and he's I think he's 9. She gave him a copy of Rok of the Reds, and she couldn't get it back off him. So it's also a really good learning tool.
Yeah,
because pictures and words together are much more encouragement for a reluctant reader. And
I always find that everybody has a different approach to everything, and when it comes to that, he saw football, he saw comic books, and he just immediately attached himself to it, and it's helped him go on, and that's beautiful. I love that, man. It's the same. It goes across every sort of field of music, art, movies. I mean, there's the example of Drax from Guardians of the Galaxy. there was an autistic child that absolutely attached himself to Drax, because Drax is super. He's just, as he is, he's very literal in how he says things, and that's like an autistic quality, and he attached himself to that, and it helped him go on and live life normally, which is great. I love that. So this is fantastic. What do you have much to do with Dredd still as well, or are you just putting all your work into Rok?
No, I do the occasional Dredd, but I'm gradually fading out of it. In a couple of years, I probably won't write it anymore.
You were saying to me that you wanted this to be a sign-off, really.
Yeah,
Rok.
This is my last big project, unless someone comes and offers me £1 million to do something fairly simple.
Well, it's possible, man. Amazon, Netflix, they're always doing these comic book things, and I feel like there's a lot of these comic book programs that have been made lately, like the Umbrella Academy, like The Boys, that are made for an older audience. I think it's about time that these companies picked up something that was more for the teenagers.
Yeah,
and this would be the perfect project, I imagine.
Yeah, I've sent it to a couple of film people. One of the directors of Clerkenwell Films said he loved it. He would love to make a movie of it, but he thought it was going to be too expensive. Yeah, I guess that's with all the extras in a football crowd.
Yeah.
But these days you can CGI them on.
Yeah, I mean, you can make it a cartoon. Cartoons are just as... look at Rick and Morty. He's like the biggest thing on the planet.
True, yeah, it would be a good cartoon.
I think so. I feel like like how Marvel's kind of killing it at the moment, the cinema, and I feel like DC with the Batman stuff, the animated movies are just as brilliant, and it goes to show you get some good voice actors on a cartoon, Rok the Gods, Rok the Reds. It'd be brilliant, I think. Yeah, so... Are you doing a lot of travelling with this then, with the Comic-Cons? Are you going places?
I'm doing quite a few now that I've got Rok to promote, new Rok. So I'll be in Glasgow next weekend. Yeah. Leamington the following weekend. Yeah. And then towards the end of October I'll be doing London MCM.
Fantastic.
Then Thought Bubble and Harrogate. I think that's me for the year. I hope it is.
Well, where you are at the moment, you can choose. You pick and choose where you want to go, and that's great. I've got some friends that are going to MCM. I'll send them your way. Hopefully a new review books. But this is really, really good. And I really do wish you the best of luck with this, John, because it's not easy, is it, to go from... let's look at it that way. What is it like going from something as big as Dredd to making your own thing, It's
been a real experience for me because I've never actually done the whole thing myself. Yeah. And it's been bloody hard work, I tell you.
I imagine. Peddling everything by yourself.
Had I to do it again, I might say, oh, well, maybe you should still publish it for me.
Yeah.
But it's been interesting. And it's good keeping everything in-house.
Yeah.
And one other thing is it's been nice to be able to employ people whose work I really like Abby, the colorist.
Yeah,
she lives in Manchester. She used to work in a comic shop there, and her colouring has become so much more subtle and lovely. It's really beautiful. And I mean, it was good in Rok of the Reds, but in Rok the God, it's just first class. Dan Cornwell, the artist, when I decided I was going to do the comic, I had to find an artist, but I couldn't afford to pay normal rates. So what I did was look through all the fanzines. These are comics that people who want to be professional artists do for free.
I met a few of those guys at Comics Salute. Yeah. Some of them are amazing.
Some of them are really talented. Yeah. And the one I picked out was Dan Cornwell. And he was driving a bus in Brighton. And he said to me that he got this email from me as he was driving his bus along. Said, "Have you ever drawn football and would you like to?" And he said he thought it was someone hoaxing him until he got back to the depot and was able to text me back. And
so nice story.
It's been great. I mean, since he drew this, he's been able to go full-time freelance and quit the buses, and now he's a Dredd artist.
That's beautiful.
He's been,
that's beautiful. Well done. That's really good. To pass on the torch.
It's nice helping people up, giving them a little boost.
Yeah, you're helping me as well with this brilliant interview that we're doing. And thank you again for letting me do this. So hopefully we can try and get you on Thorskin. That'd be really nice because there's a lot more of a relaxed vibe. We can kind of have a can of beer and
talk dirty,
yeah. And we will, I guarantee it. But this has been fantastic, and maybe we can catch up with you once this is released. We can catch up with you, see how Rok of the Gods is going. We can do an update, and of course we'll probably hear more about you from Comic Salopia when that's back on next year.
Is it coming back next year?
Is it biannual?
I think it's
biannual. So maybe the year after. Then we'll catch up with you at some point. But thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. This has been John Wagner, and I've been really, really privileged to speak to him today. Make sure you follow him on Facebook. Have you got an Instagram as well? Are you on Instagram?
Rok of the Reds, Rok's on there. I think it's called Red Rock. I'm not sure. But Rok's on there.
Yeah. Make sure you follow him.
I let other people do all that. That's just too difficult for me.
Any links that we've got, I can share. Make sure you give John a good follow because, like I said, he's just on our doorstep and he's a superstar. And, if you're listening to this and you're not a big comic book fan, just pick up a comic book. You never know. You might find yourself enjoying it. And,
There's some good ones out there.
Yeah, there is. There's a few favourites of mine. It's nothing better than just curling up on the sofa with your tablet or an actual physical comic book and just enjoying a story, And I'm going to enjoy reading Rok of the Reds. Thank you very much for that.
You're welcome.
John, thank you very much for joining me on the show. Make sure you join us next week, and we will keep you guys up to date with how Rok of the Gods is going. Make sure you check out that Kickstarter. Thank you very much, guys, and peace out.